you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside a Friday edition of Running Point. And we are coming to you live from East Palestine and brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Ty, welcome to Friday. It is officially basketball season, and we have a slew of games on the network tonight, including our playoff matchups as well. We're going to pick everything. We said before, we're sticking to it. We're going to be picking basketball this year, and we are ready to go for basketball picks and our playoff picks today. Also going to be talking to Keith Gunther, the head coach of the Ysn Irish boys basketball team at 12:15. So don't miss that. That's coming up very soon. We also have 3 interviews we're going to be debuting that are pre-recorded. We have an interview with Coach Aaron Pounds of the Howland girls basketball program, Coach Dan Boobin, the head coach of the Howland boys basketball program, and then Coach Andrew Saxon, the head coach over at Girard for the girls program. So we're going to be hearing from all those coaches and Keith Gunther and making basketball picks and making playoff picks. It's going to be a fun Friday.
Yeah, no doubt, as it's going to be a packed show, as basketball is quite literally right around the corner, as we're just hours away and also hours away from one of our 4 regional final matchups we have from Division 4 through 7. Don't forget, $9.99 gets you all 4 of the games, tonight's game and Saturday's game. We're doing the power play again for ysnlive.com. So make sure that you get out there and spend your $9.99 too. $2.50 a game, roughly average estimate too, and you get 4 regional final games in the 4, 5, 6, and 7.
And we apologize to those viewers that are trying to watch on Facebook. We are having trouble connecting to we just went live on Facebook. There we go. We fixed it. So for those of you that are joining on Facebook or are starting to pop in on Facebook, we apologize that you missed our awesome intro. One of the best intros in town. We took a minute to go live on Facebook, but StreamYard has let us through the gates, and we are live on Facebook now, Ty, so we can talk to all our viewers and remind everybody that not only can you call in the hotline 330-886-0813 to talk to me and Ty, because he's in the studio, so you can hear him when he talks if you're on the phone. And you can also comment on the comment section. Brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, you are free to comment, and we would love to hear from you. Ty, let's dive into some of these basketball matchups, and then talk to Keith Gunther, and then hear from other coaches, and then maybe dive into these playoff matchups as well. We already really talked about these playoff matchups, so I feel like today's is going to be making our picks for football. But let's talk about these basketball matchups before we make our picks for them. It all starts tonight. DJ Oakley is going to be the first voice you hear for the basketball season, the owner, the CEO. He's going to be at Latonia for Heartland Christian at Latonia. And there's no JV games, so that game will tip at 5:30 on ysnlive.com. Ty, when you look at these two teams, Latonia has lost a lot as far as their seniors, and Taryn Ferry isn't there anymore, of course, and that was a big loss. They're trying to rebuild, and then you have a Heartland team that returns Maddie Matthews, and a lot of their scores on paper might look like a mismatch.
Yeah, for me in this one too, I think, especially early on in the season, I think Heartland Christian, especially when we talk first week, is just a little bit further along in it. Latonia's got to figure themselves out. I think Latonia's right now, they need to figure out their identity. As Heartland with Coach Raheem at the helm, I think they have a lot of players. You already mentioned Maddie Matthews, but a lot of returning talent. For me in this one, I know they're on the road, But at 5:30 p.m. start time, they're tipping off our basketball season. I like the Lions in this one. I want to go Heartland on this one.
And not only are we making picks, but we also have the polls up on our Twitter account at YSN at Running Point YSN. You can go pick these basketball games on that as well as our playoff football games. Last week in the playoffs, Running Point fans went 7 of 8, so they were almost perfect. They did miss that Chardon game. People picked the Canfield won by a little bit, so unfortunately, Canfield did lose that game. So 7 of 8 in the playoff games. Right now, as we look at this, Latonia versus Heartland Christian. Heartland Christian has a 69 to 31% edge on the fan vote. Right now, 13 votes in that poll, and Heartland with the slight edge, 69% to 31%. Ty, you took Heartland. I'm going to take Heartland too. I just think there's too much scoring on the floor. Tough team to try to beat when you're trying to figure out an identity. So I think Heartland Christian goes on the road, gets the first win of the season, and gets the first win recorded on YSN in the 2021 year.
As we move on to an hour later, too, at 6:30, Cheney at Warren JFK girls basketball. Dom O'Brien on the call for that one. This one, for me, it's two teams I feel like that are trying to build programs. But for me, I mean, just looking at these teams and getting the opportunity to see both of these teams last year, I just felt like Warren JFK was a little bit further along possibly in being able to do that. But I don't know what Cheney's bringing back athletes-wise, and Cheney always has a knack for surprising some people. I know Cheney is one of my sweethearts, but in this one, I think Warren JFK, especially being at home, is going to have the slight edge. I'm going to go with JFK in this one.
The one thing about Cheney that you have to watch out for, and I said this when we were talking about the Steel Valley Conference yesterday, they're going to be big. They're going to be big and physical. They're going to beat you up inside. It's not going to be a game that you're going to walk away from feeling good. But JFK players are probably going to have an ice bath tomorrow, things like that. They're going to have bruises. But I do think they're going to get through it and get their home opening win. I just think that they just have a little bit more going for them right now. These starting season games are so hard to pick because you really don't know what the teams are going to bring to the table. Every year is a new team. So you really don't know what these teams are going to bring. We don't have scouting reports. We don't have the live huddle tapes of their scrimmages, unfortunately, for making these picks. So the first pick of the season, we unfortunately can't be like super experts and break down the whole matchup. But I do think JFK is going to win this game, and so do the fans. Right now, the fans are saying JFK by a wide margin winning this game. It is currently JFK 86% and Cheney 14% in the fan vote for that game.
Yeah, and I mean, like we said, it presumably JFK is a little bit further ahead, but hey, we don't know until tip-off too, and that's going to come tonight at 6:30.
O'Brien's going to have the call there. He's very excited to get in that new JFK gym, and we're excited to show it on YSN, and we're excited that Dom's going to be on the call.
Yep, no doubt. It should be very exciting. As moving into 7 o'clock games now, yep. I believe. And first 7 o'clock game, I believe, on our schedule is the one I'm going to be at. Cardinal at Wyndham tonight with the Bombers hosting in the Cardinal, I believe, Huskies is their logo team name. They're from Cardinal, but their team name's the Huskies.
Right.
So in this one, this is going to be interesting because Cardinal is actually not really a bad basketball program, and I think I recognize the Huskies outside of the volleyball team. I feel like Cardinals, I've seen them in the last couple of years, and they did all right. This is my first time actually getting a chance to see the Wyndham girls team live. It's my first chance actually going to the Bombers home now and going to Wyndham High School. So I'm excited for that tonight. And this one, I'm going to say both teams 0-0. Give me the Bombers at home with this one. Let's see an opening game win with the Bombers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Bombers will have this one. And by the way, YSN banner, we're always going to shake it a little bit. So we're always going to lean a little bit towards the YSN banner. But I told Ty off the air, and I've said this before. Like there's some pride in the line now that we're picking girls basketball, and I try to consider myself a girls basketball expert. So as much as I love turning that banner, there will be times probably this season where my competitiveness gets the better of me, and maybe I pick against the YSN school.
We
But
don't take anything personal.
No,
Here.
no,
None
this
of it is personal.
this is straight up like I want.
This is personal
I
between
want to beat
us,
Ty.
but it's not personal down there. This
Right.
is personal
I
here.
want to beat Ty very badly in these girls basketball picks. But for this one, I'm going to pick Wyndham. Well, you know what? Give me Cardinals.
You want to go?
Instead of all that, give me Cardinals.
You want to go opposite with it?
Right. I want to get the lead.
All right, you got first pick on the next one. Crestview at Beaver Local with Mikey
Ooh.
McKenzie on the call.
This is such a good one. And it's another one that's hard because both teams lost a core of players last year that made them, they were really important to what they did. So you don't really know exactly what each coach is going to bring back to the table. But I think Crestview brings back a little bit more. Player like Ashton Hughes, Carson Moore, they're all going to be back, and they have a little bit more experience. I'm going to give the edge to Crestview on the road at Beaver Local.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning Crestview in this one too, and it's hard to say that too, but with both teams losing as much as they did, but Crestview it's so hard to pick against Crestview with the athletes that they have. And on the girls' side of things, especially, I like the Lady Rebels in this one as well. As the next one up, Hoover, North Canton Hoover at Howland. Noah Rick's going to have the call at 7 p.m. This one is going to be very, very interesting because, this is a team in Howland that was, I believe, 7-10 last year, played a tough schedule, and they played a lot of good teams, and they kept it close in a lot of those games. So I think it's a case, too, where Howland returning a lot, too, and talking with Coach Pounds, just to give you a little bit of a preview, he fully expects that this is a team that could be well within the AAC, especially in the girls' side of things. And I don't think he's wrong in thinking that. I think in this case too, I feel like Howland. I'm going to give him the advantage in this one. I'm going to say Howland in this one.
This one's hard because I don't know a ton about what Canton Hoover is bringing back and how strong they're going to be. Obviously, later we'll hear from Coach Pounds. I'm sure you had a chance to preview this game in particular in that interview to get his thoughts on what Hoover's going to bring to the table. I'm going to get Howland on this too. I think last year's record had a lot to do with Trumbull County being shut down and them having to navigate the uncertainty of a season and try to stop and go. And that's always hard for a team that was inexperienced anyway. So I think Howland's got a lot coming back, a lot of experience coming back. Desalvo is coming back. He's going to be a big asset to them. So I think Howland will be right there, and I'm going to give them the win.
We got next one coming up. Not going to be on the network, unfortunately.
Let's get the. I was distracted. I'm trying to get. Having some glitch gremlins with Keith Gunther, so I was trying to help him out a little bit. But let's see. We are on. Wyndham has the fan vote right now for that game, 60 to 40% on Twitter. And Crestview has the fan vote 80 to 20% on Twitter. Right now, Howland leads the fan vote 80% to 20%. Once again, you can vote on the Twitter account. Go to @RunningPoint_YSN and go and vote for these games and be a part of the fan voting. Done a pretty good job of it so far in the first 2 weeks of this experiment. Only missed one playoff football game, and now you get really tested because you'll be picking a lot of basketball games.
Yeah, no doubt. And like we said, too, the next game up, not going to be on the network, unfortunately, but still a game going on in the area on the girls' side of things as Lakeview takes on Youngstown East at Youngstown East tonight. That's also set for a 7 p.m. tip-off.
Right now, the fan vote, all Lakeview, 100% to none.
And
They're
I mean,
sweeping that. I'm on Lakeview, too. I think they're coming into this season with a lot to look forward to, a lot of experience. Brooke Schneider, everyone's going to talk about Maggie Pavlansky. But Brooke Schneider's also a strong leader from that basketball team. That volleyball team. So they're going to have a lot of good leadership, and they're going to be ready to win tonight at East. I'm going to give it to Lakeview.
I'm not counting out Coach Franklin in the slightest and her having her girls ready. I think Coach Tanisha Franklin's doing a great job over there at East. I think by the time you see the East girls play, they might have a different identity. They're going to have to go through some growing pains. Very young team is that East girls team, but you're right. I think Lakeview's a little bit further ahead. I'm going to go Lakeview on this one as well.
We will pause the pick'ems because we have the head coach of the Ursuline boys, Keith Gunther, popping into the green room. So we're going to bring up Coach. And Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Sure. I'm glad to be on the show.
Coach, first off, I just want to thank you for taking the time to join us. But what we like to do first and foremost with all of our coaches, we kind of like to start off with a meet the team segment. And we know with a lot of the team kind of being tied up with football, there's going to be a little bit of issues in introducing the entire team. But in what you know, what are some of the big impact players you expect to have on the team this season, as well as some younger guys that are going to be new faces for the Irish community?
And I think that's going to be a big deal. To be honest with you, I mean, we're not sure it's coming from football. It's going to be a long season for those guys. Their bodies are going to be beat up. And we've seen in the past a lot of guys, once they go for a long season, a lot of times their bodies are beat up and they don't actually come out for basketball. So we're not sure who's coming from football. In reality, I mean, I hate to be, I'm on their side. I expect them to get to the state game and win it all. So we're anticipating we won't see some of those guys for 3-4 weeks. But the younger guys that we have right now, very talented. Number one, we got Terence Pankey. He was our leading scorer last year as a sophomore. We have a new face that a lot of people are going to see real quick here. We got a 6'6" sophomore by the name of Jayden Payne. We have Vincent Filato, who's coming back. Last year, these guys were, Vinny was a sophomore, Terence was a sophomore. They saw a lot of varsity time and played really well for us. Payne's going to be the big surprise. He's 6'6", 6'7" sophomore. He's long, he's athletic. He's a lefty. Gino Lucini, who's a sophomore, who's coming back, played some varsity minutes for us last year. And another surprise is going to be a gentleman by the name of Nick Bako, who's long, athletic, and talented, can shoot and get to the basket. So we got a lot of young guys, that are going to be playing a lot of varsity, but have varsity experience. So it's not like those guys are young and haven't played varsity. So if they come back and they keep working like they've been working, and then we add some of the football guys, we expect it to be a really good year.
I just wanted to add a follow-up question, because watching Terence Pankey play last year too, that was actually one of the players I wanted to comment on. It seemed like, at least when I got to see him, he had a motor that was legendary, that just did not stop, and he's always constantly moving, is what it seems like. Talk to me, when you're coaching players like that, how much easier it is when you kind of have those players with that high energy and high motor who, no matter what you give them, they seem to be up for the task.
Those guys are they're once in a probably a decade, 4, 5, 6 years that you get guys like that. I'll be honest with you, Terence is going to get a basketball scholarship based, and don't get me wrong, he's talented, but his motor is second to none of any player that I've seen in the area. We compare him to a guy by the name that played for me back in like 07, 06, DeAndre Brown, who had the same type of motor, end up inevitably playing at Cleveland State. So, when your best player has a motor like that, everybody else doesn't have a choice but to follow suit. And that's what you want out of your leader. You want him to be the hardest worker. You want him to have a motor like nobody else has. And then basically everybody else follows suit. And inevitably what happens, you become a really good basketball team.
Coach, one of the things that we always talk about with Ysn is the schedule you guys put together. No matter what the sport is, it's always second to none. Talk about the schedule you guys have this year and how you think it'll prepare you for the tournament.
Well, I think it'll prepare us. Not only, usually we play out of town. We got Massillon, we got Central, but locally, we're trying to get that kind of our strong SVC back. We got Boardman on the schedule. We got Austintown Fitch on the schedule. We got Cheney on the schedule. So we're just not talking about a strong schedule. Locally, we have Harding on the schedule. We went against them in the summer, and Harding's going to be back. Of course, Cheney's always going to be one of the best teams in the area. Boardman, if you look at how they've played the last 3 or 4 years, have been one of the top basketball teams in the area. So now, even though we're Division II, we're going to play some ones. We're going to play higher level basketball, and hopefully that gets us prepped. And we got to go to Massillon, Washington. We all know how difficult of a task that is. And so our schedules, once again, it's tough, and it always prepares us for the tournament.
Coach, I've asked you these type of questions before about what the culture is there at Ysn and what it means to you. And I, obviously, looking at it, I mean, through years of success, through coaching too. But and just everyone that you've been able to have an opportunity to see and coach for, what is the biggest thing you've learned about yourself as a coach throughout all this time?
Well, I mean, and I did an interview last week. Here's the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is you want to coach to win, but you really want to coach to impact young men. So when they leave, you and go out into the real world, that, I'm 20 years into this, 23 years into coaching now. You want to see the impact that you have on them outside of basketball. I mean, sports are great. Sports are wonderful, but you want to make sure that you had an impact that changes lives for when they graduate, they go on to college, and then you see them come back. And then every once in a while, you get that guy that tells you, Coach, man, you've impacted my life. You've instilled some things into me that, that made me to be a successful person after they get out of basketball. Don't get me wrong. I love winning basketball games more than any other coach in the world. But the reality of it is that it's not always about, winning and losing. It's also about how you're impacting young men.
Coach, we see a lot of former players or former people on your coaching staff that, nod to you after they go and they succeed in their own endeavors. How proud does that make you as a coach when you see someone that you've either coached or you've coached with succeed in life, and then point to their time with your program as a reason for their success?
And you know what? That's funny you say that, because I'm successful because of Royson back in Newton Falls. Most people don't realize I was an assistant with Roy for like 6 or 7 years before I actually became a varsity coach, a varsity full-time coach myself. So his success inherently transferred over to me. And now, fortunately for me, I've had some guys that were on my staff that are being successful in their own programs. Marlon McGaughy was on my staff. Andre Brown was on my staff. Josh Upshire was on my staff. Kerry Palermo was on my staff. And if you look around, the great thing is, obviously, some of that success is that we've had at Ursuline has transferred to those guys. Look at what they've done at Cheney. Coach Palermo wins the district last year at Mooney. Coach Upshire had a great season a couple years ago. So, yeah, does it make me feel good? It makes me feel great. Now, don't get it twisted. I don't want to ever lose to those guys when I'm coaching up against them. But when they're not coaching against me, I want to see those guys win every game that they play. And if you look around what some of these guys have done, they've had some great success the last couple years.
I got to agree with you on that, Coach. And talking about more of the X's and O's on the basketball court, I know one of the biggest things you've always said to me and to a lot of people is no matter what the team's doing on the floor, whether you're up, whether you're down, it's always defense mentality. And they are never to stop playing defense. When did this kind of mentality and when did this kind of idea for being a defensive-minded coach start with you? Did it start with Sembach, or did other influences along the way kind of cater to that?
It actually happened when I was playing at Ashland University. I played for a guy by the name of Roger Lyons. I came from high school getting about 27, 28 a game and thought that offense was the way to win. And I got to Ashland my freshman year and, averaged like 6.7 points a game. And we were very successful my freshman year, based primarily on because we were playing great defense and locking teams up, and it changed my whole mentality on how to play the game and how to be effective in the game. And then from there, me and Roy became good friends, and I inevitably was the guy who kind of instilled the way we played defense when I was there at Newton Falls. And now it's transferred to, what we do at Ursuline, and it's the number one thing. If, my thing is, I tell everybody all the time, I'd rather win 1-0 rather than 99, rather 100-99, because when you win 1-0, the other team really just thinks they can't score. So it's a mentality. And when you win 100-99, the other team's thinking, man, we just needed one more basket. So that's always been my focus. It's always been my mentality. And the funny thing is, we were talking about that with our young guys the other day. I told our staff, I looked down at them, I go, these guys are hungry. They play the game the right way. They're diving for loose balls. They're physical on defense, and they're tough. The one thing I'll say, the years that we've had success, and this isn't a knock on anything else, a lot of your guys have to be basketball first guys. With that being said, you need some physical, nasty, tough, hungry football players to go along with that. And probably 70% of our varsity guys right now are basketball first guys, because here's the thing. The guys out on football, I mean, they're not going to get to you till, especially at Ursuline, most years, they're not going to get to you till, early December. And by the time they're actually in basketball shape, it's going to be probably mid-January. So, it's nice to have that core group and then add some mean, tough, physical football players to go along with that. And that's why I think this year should be a successful year.
The other thing that everyone knows about your coaching style is that you have a set standard and expectation, and it is unwavering. Your players have to meet it, or there's no other option. How important is kind of the discipline and the respect for the game to you and your program, and what you try to instill to these guys?
It's major. If you and here's the thing, we were discussing some things the other day, and I heard a grumbling of a freshman and a sophomore, and they said, "Man, I'm not sure if I'm coming out for basketball because it's too tough." And I thought, I will never ever change. That's what I want my program to be. I want people to understand that this is not going to be like a walk in the park. This is going to be, yep, our basketball program's tough. But the one thing we tell our kids, life is tough. So we want to make sure when you come into practice that it's physically tough, it's mentally tough. And then once you're done with your career here, you look back on your time and you say, you know what, my practices with Ursuline were really tough. The discipline was tough. And when you walk out the doors here, you become a tough young man, and you become a disciplined young man when you're an adult.
You've been so heavily involved in the game, from playing to assistant coaching to head coaching. Through all that experience and all that you have learned, I want to know, what would Coach Gunther tell Keith Gunther, the player?
The player, and it's funny you say that, because I got a little Keith Gunther coming up soon. So I would tell myself, because I played high school, I played collegiately, and I would tell myself, don't be afraid to put in more work than what I put in when I was in high school and college, because inevitably it's really not rocket science. If you put in the work, you put in the time, it pays off. That's all there is to it. If you don't put in the work and you don't put in the time, you're usually not going to be successful. If I had to do it all again, and I'll be honest with you, I put in a lot of time, but I didn't put in as much as I wish if I had to do it all over again, that I could. I mean, we watch kids nowadays, they'll spend 6 hours on Xbox and 1 to 2 hours on basketball, when it really should be the other way around. You should be putting in, 4 to 4 hours basketball and a couple hours on Xbox. And there's time. The guys that were great for us were guys who got up in the morning before school, shot at noon when they had an opportunity at lunch, practiced with us, then had a workout after. Those are the guys that become great. And I was a good basketball player, but I didn't put in that kind of time. And if I had to do it all over again, because you don't get time back, I would put in more time than I did. And as good as I was, I think I could have been at another level. So that's what I would tell the Keith Gunther. And that's what I tell my son, Jay, who's coming up now. Put in more time in basketball and education than you do on that Xbox. So,
Coach, me and Ty could talk to you forever. I mean, we're loving this conversation, but we don't want to keep you too long. Before we do let you go, I do want to give you a chance to highlight your staff and the people that kind of assist you, and the people that really, this Ursuline program would not be where it is without.
So right now, we got a couple new guys, but right now I got George Williams, who's my varsity assistant. I got Rob Malkovich, who's my two. So right now we have two main guys that are with me. They've been with me for the last 4 or 5 years. They've been through the highs and the lows. George Williams actually played for me back when DeAndre Brown played, from like 06 to 09. And George was a great player. He's been my JV coach for the last probably 7 or 8 years, and Rob's been with me, Malkovich, the last 4 or 5 years. Those are my two go-to guys that have been with me. They understand how I am. They understand what I feel like it takes to win, and they're on the same page with me. So those guys have been phenomenal. And here's the reality of life. If you think you can do it all yourself, you never can. You're never going to be successful. You have to have guys that are on the same page with you, guys that understand your goals, guys that understand your dreams, and also guys that understand it's not just about basketball, it's about some life skills for our kids also. So I've been very fortunate to have that the last couple of years. And, we just got to continue to grow as a staff, but really we just need to continue to grow our kids and get them to understand, what it's going to take to be successful. The one thing that we're going to talk about that's going to be our focal point of our program this year is going to be crazy faith. That's going to be our motto this year. You got to have faith in what you're doing, and you got to have belief in that you're going to be successful. So we're going about crazy faith this year, and we're going to try and make a significant impact on basketball in this area coming for the 2021-22 season.
Coach, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to join us here on Running Point, and we look forward to the constant coverage of the Ysn boys basketball team here on the network. And I know with any luck, we'll be talking to you again real soon.
All right, I love it. Love being on the show. Anytime you guys want to connect, just text me, and you can get me on anytime you want.
No problem, Coach. Thank you for your time.
All right, have a great day, guys.
Coach Gunther.
Oh man.
Like I said, that's just one of those guys. I could sit down and talk with forever too. One of the great basketball minds, but just great leaders too of the area too. And you talk about all the successful coaches, not just on the court, but outside of the court, and the impacts that they've had on these young players' lives on both the boys and girls side. I think it's unmatched to what has come out of Coach Gunther's program, and just a lot of respect for that Ysn program. And they're so lucky to have him over there.
He's one of those dudes that just gets it. Like we turned our mics down during the interview while he was talking. I looked up and I go, "Oh, geez, it's been like 15 minutes."
It's easy to get lost talking with him.
We try to keep the coaches' interviews down to like at least 15 minutes to respect their time, and obviously to show them the respect they deserve. But I was like, Ty, it's been I can talk to him forever.
Yeah, he's great too. He's a great mind to talk about with sports and everything. And like you said,
he didn't even get into like the nitty gritty of basketball, what his kind of basketball philosophy is, and because he's such a good. Forget the obviously he's a great role model and is a great impact, but also he's a great basketball mind. He does really good with the X's and O's. Obviously a very defensive minded coach. So, basketball fans could probably pick his brain for hours too.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously he's going to have a pretty good player in Terence Pankey that's going to be there. And you're talking about a guy, I think he's about 6'1", Pankey is 6'1", 6'2". So he's not short by any means. This kid, like I said, and like I talked, legendary motor. You want to talk about a guy that, and I got a chance to see him, I think, twice. And the one game in particular I remember watching him, of course, was at Fitch. But you just want to talk about a kid that gets up and down the court, doesn't stop. And you wonder, how does he not run out of breath? And how he just keeps on going, but he keeps on going. And it's something to behold.
Ian is the lucky one that gets to cover them most of the season. And obviously Ian's a great voice. So Urslin's
lucky too that they get constant coverage too.
Ian had one of the best calls of the basketball season last year, like hands down. That Urslin overtime game with I believe it was East. I think they had a big lead on East, and East came back for us overtime.
Is going to be a good team too.
And I want to say Brady Shannon hit a buzzer beater, and Ian just went nuts, and he was right in the crowd. Like his YSN setup was like
that's awesome.
Literally in the middle
that's
of
nice.
So like you saw people run onto the bench, and it was just like it was a great call, one of the legendary ones. So Ian's gonna have fun with that team, but every now and then, if they go on the road to one of the other schools, maybe you or me can get down and cover that team a little bit too.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, we know with that, that's going to be a check mark for Urslan double check as we talked with Coach Scott.
And today we're going to also check Howland and check Gerard. So
Yep.
a lot of teams getting checked off today.
Yeah, no doubt. As it was a great conversation with Coach Gunther and a great conversation with Coach Scott, as they got really good minds over there in the basketball community in Ursuline, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to do.
Both coaches have college experience, which is something that I really love.
And you want to talk about me seeing Ursuline? I'm not too far away from that. December 3rd. Guess who comes into Austintown?
You're looking
Ohio?
forward to
Yeah.
it. He's like,
I'm
here it
looking
comes.
forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how much Terence Pankey's developed. And last year, I don't know if anybody remembered, I think this was a game that came this close from going into overtime, and Fitch had a shot at getting it into overtime. But competitive as can be. Yes, Fitch loses Simon, so it's going to be interesting to see with Sherwood there and Underwood, but these are two athletic teams that's going to be another fun matchup.
Let's continue our basketball picks here. Sebring versus Campbell tonight at 7. I'll be in Campbell for that one.
That's
on the
you.
stage in the new floor over at Campbell. Two teams once again that are just trying to make a name for themselves a little bit and establish themselves as a program in opposite sides of the MVAC. Ty, I'll let you pick this one first, and then I'll go and I'll pick it.
For me, I just think right now, at least, I feel like I'm going to give the slight edge to Sebring. And I say Sebring just because at least on both the boys and girls basketball side, there's always been some sort of success that's generated in basketball with Sebring, and they never really put out bad teams. They put out good teams consistently, and they always put out talented teams and competitive teams. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lady Trojans on that one.
I'll tell you what, I don't know how many Campbell volleyball players play basketball, but if it's a lot of them, then they're not going to be a pushover this year. I know in years past, Campbell has been that afterthought in the MVAC. But this volleyball team won 8 games, and they were scrappy, and they had one of the better volleyball seasons that program has had. The first tournament win, if not in program history, in a long time against United. So I think if those – that's the thing. I don't know how many of those volleyball players are playing for Campbell. And obviously volleyball doesn't equally translate into being a basketball player. I'm gonna take Sebring just because what I've seen and what I know about what they were last year, and that's all you can do in first games of the season. This is weird. This is the first time I've picked a game I'm actually calling.
Yeah.
Because I don't call football. So
and now I
get to pick.
You get to pick probably the hardest game first on the network this weekend. West Branch at Garfield girls basketball, 12 p.m. Boxcast.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
What do you do with this one, though? I mean, two fantastic teams. And, I mean, you want a basketball team. And, I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. This might be one of the matchups of the weekend. One of the top 3.
Sebring has a 60 to 40% edge in the Running Point fan vote. Once again, the Twitter account.
What's our fan vote on Garfield versus West Branch? Let them go first before you pick. What do they have?
100% West Branch.
100% on West Branch over Garfield?
People are putting a lot of respect on Coach DeShields.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You have to. You have to respect.
Garfield hasn't ever beaten West Branch, or at least Aaron Gilbert hasn't ever beaten West Branch. So it's one of those ones you say all the time in football. Until you prove it, you can't pick it, right? So that's where you're making me pick first. I'm going to say I think Garfield has a chance to win. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but it's one of those until you do it, I can't pick it. So I'm taking West Branch.
This is going to be
they're going to have a 6'2" point guard.
Yeah, I know. It's like these were two super good teams last year, though. Of course,
Lippiatt's coming back, and she's one of West Branch's main starters and main scorers, but then Garfield's returning 3 double-digit scores as well. This will be a good game.
This is going to be a fantastic game. Garfield has some decent height, too, including a few players that are 6 foot. I think both Jenna Smith is a junior or senior, I believe, and Nora Trent is a junior, but both are 6 foot, too. So, I mean, they got some height, but
watch out for Sydney Seaman.
Oh, my
She's
God.
a baller.
This one, I mean, we've been talking about picking these games for a while, and I've still been tossing over this one because I genuinely – I've been going back and forth with it because you look at Garfield, I think 18-5 last year, and West Branch, of course, we know they got their 20-5 record. I mean, they did what they normally do.
20-5 felt like a down year too for West Branch.
Yeah, I know.
Felt like they had a down year.
But scary. I mean, and that was obviously an unfortunate loss to Marlington for them. But talking with both coaches too. We had both Gilbert and DeShields on, so you could watch both of those before this game. This was opening game last year, and West Branch won 48-33.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing. I think West Branch's defense gets overlooked. And they're such a good defense.
They are a good defense too. And so is This is one. Do I want to take try to take the point from you? This is the thing. Do I want to go opposite of you? They have a lot of height there and you can't teach height. And you're right, having a 6'1" sophomore point guard and 3 people 6'1". I mean, height's hard to teach. Coach Gilbert, I love your program, and I do think you can do it, especially on that awesome floor.
You're gonna pick them.
No, I gotta go with Coach DeShields. I have to go with Coach DeShields and the Warriors.
Going with the fan vote.
I gotta
once
go with the
again.
Warriors in
Fan
this
vote
one.
is at 100% for West Branch. We have Mooney traveling to Columbiana. Right now, the fan vote on @Running Point Ysn on Twitter: 75% Columbiana, 25% Mooney. A little bit of a shocker there.
I'm a little bit shocked with that one. Yeah, Columbiana. I mean, give them credit where it's due. I mean, they're going to probably be a very solid basketball team, but I liked what I saw from Mooney. And I mean, I could be biased because I saw Mooney a few times, but Maria Fire was looking really good, and I think she's going to be an X factor this year. I think she takes that next step in her development as the real good big for Mooney that can be that enforcer inside for rebounds and points inside the paint. I think with that, along with if Mooney can just get some outside shots, I think they're going to be dangerous on all levels. On all levels, give me the Lady Cards tonight.
I'm going right with you. Like, give me Mooney, and then tomorrow afternoon, I believe.
Tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
Okay. Eric
Yeah.
Kopp said I have to call 7 p.m. tomorrow night.
Yep. And then you're going to have the call for our last game of the weekend.
So we're both going Mooney there. And here's the last game of the weekend. It's going to be Canfield girls opening the year against Maslin Perry. Perry coming to town. The fan vote has 80% Canfield, 20% Perry.
Obviously a little bit skewed. You got to give Perry their credit due. They're going to be a great team this year.
They have 3 players that were a part of signing day. I believe 3, if I'm not mistaken. So 3 players that are coming on their roster that are seniors going into the next level next season after their career is over. Canfield has Alyssa Dill. They have Summer Samarone. They have Abby Muckleroy. A lot of talent. Can they put it together in day 1 against a very good Perry team? If you're going to get them, you're going to get them early because everyone's going to be a little bit ugly. It's not going to be pristine basketball. You make me pick first. Are you going to go? I'm trying to talk and see if
well, yeah, I picked first on the last one. I picked Mooney on the last one. This is your first one.
No, I'm going to go with the fans. I'm taking Canfield to get the home win. Like I said, if you're going to get them, you're going to get them early.
Since you picked Cardinal in my game against Wyndham. No, I mean, I agree with you to some extent, but I also think Canfield has a little bit of gelling to do, and I think Canfield's going to be a very successful team. But I think you might see not a lot of bumps in the road, but you're going to see some bumps in the road. And you know what? If Canfield goes out and beats this Perry team first game of the season, I think that's a huge statement victory of them saying that, okay, we're ready to take that next step now, where I feel like Canfield is ready to take that next step. They're almost ready, I should say, and they need to do a little bit more gelling. I think Perry is just a little bit more put together. You talked about the 3 signing days. They're going to be a great team. I think Canfield can beat Perry, but I think they have a little bit of learning to do over the course of the season. I'm going with Perry in this one.
All right. So we'll see how the results come in on Monday and see who takes the early edge, because Monday we have a lot of games. And that's when it starts.
2 games we picked opposite on, I think.
Monday, here comes the season on Monday. Like, we're getting our feet wet. But Monday, it's like, boom. A lot of games on Monday. Couple games on Tuesday, 1 game on Wednesday. Obviously, nothing on Thursday because of Thanksgiving. Wednesday is going to be a day where we're going to pick Friday's games too, because we not going to be on the show on Friday after Thanksgiving. So Wednesday's going to be fun.
It is going to be real fun too. And I mean, if you need to look for anything too for those 2 days when you're off, we literally have so much content for you from coaches interviews from the last however many.
We have a lot of games on that Friday.
And games too. Like, I mean, there's content out the wazoo here too.
What's a wazoo, and why are we having so much stuff come out of it? That's what we're going to answer next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with a couple of debut interviews, and then we'll pick the playoff football games as well. Running Point brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need, regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. As we continue this Friday edition, we are going to play and debut an interview with Girard head coach of the girls' side, Andrew Saxon. I had a chance to catch up with him last night, and we can check Girard off the list as now we have talked to both coaches, and hope you enjoy this interview with Coach Saxon over from the girls' side of Girard. Anthony Hartwig here with another very special Coach's Corner and basketball preview here for Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We are joined by Andrew Saxon, the head coach of the Girard girls basketball team. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right, we like to start these interviews by just giving the coach the chance to kind of introduce us to the team, some players that are returning, and some players that you think will be some new faces to this team that fans should keep an eye out for.
Okay, I have about 7 or 8 returning lettermen. Fortunately, last year I was able to play a lot of young girls to give them a lot of experience. So I do have some girls coming back with some experience from last year. I have 3 seniors, 5 juniors, 1 sophomore, and 1 really good freshman that'll probably make up our varsity team. The freshman group, I have Maddie Logue, I have Sehan Day, I have Emily Dredden. I will count on them quite a bit this year as being leaders of the team. I have 5 juniors that had a lot of experience last year. They played a lot. Allie Durkin, Abby Rafferty, Ezra Day, and I'm a sophomore, Mia Melito, and I have a really good freshman, Mackenzie White, who also I plan on using a lot this year on the varsity level.
You know, a lot of those names will sound familiar to the Girard volleyball fans that watch that team have so much success this year. How much do you think the success they had in one sport can kind of trickle down to the next, and those girls that were on that team can kind of share the standard of excellence and the work ethic it took to get them there, and try to get the girls that are just on the basketball team to understand that and follow that?
That's a good question. Those girls are very athletic, and they're very, very competitive. And I think when you have success in another sport, I think it carries over to the next sport. I mean, they know what it's like to win. They know what it's like to get to that level, and hopefully that'll carry over into basketball, and they do just as well in basketball as they did in volleyball. But it's a good group, and they're hard workers, they're good listeners, and just hopefully we can duplicate the volleyball season.
They won the NE8 in volleyball, and as we all know, the girls' basketball NE8 does not get any easier. But, we talking to coaches around the area, it does seem a little bit more wide open this year than in years past. Some big names are gone from some of the bigger schools that were at the top. Talk about this league, what you expect from it this year, and how you think you guys will fare in it.
Well, I think we're going to be very competitive this year. Usually, South Range and Poland have been the top 2 teams, basically followed by like us, Struthers and Jefferson in the middle of the pack. But I think this year it's going to be a little more competitive. I think some of those middle teams gotten better, and like you said, some of the top teams from last year have lost a few people that were really big assets to their program. So hopefully, like I said, we've learned a lot from last year, and we're going to be a lot more competitive than we were last year. And I think the league's going to be a lot more balanced. I don't think any 1 or 2 teams are going to run away with the league this year.
We know the league schedule is going to get you guys ready for the end of the tournament, but what about the non-conference schedule? What are some teams that pop up there, and how much do you think that'll prepare you for the end of the season and tournament time?
We play some really non-league opponents. We have Ursuline. They're always very tough. We have Newton Falls. We also have McDonald's for 3 of our top non-conference games, and those are 3 very, very fine programs. And playing those types of teams always prepares you for the tournament. And when you have a tough league in which we do, and you play some really good non-league games, it definitely prepares you for the tournament. I mean, teams that are 500 many times, because they play in such a tough league, and they have so many non-league tough opponents, they do well in the tournament. And we're usually pretty competitive in the tournament.
When you have a program at this point now where like you said, you're returning a lot of experience from last year, what growth have you seen from your team, and what kind of things did you see from last year that you kind of want to improve on and develop in from last year to this year?
Well, last year, our Achilles heel, our biggest problem was our shooting percentage from the field and from the free throw line. We definitely need to improve on that this year. We were real tall last year, but I have a couple girls inside that hopefully they can rebound and get some putbacks. Our shooting is our number one Achilles heel last year, like I said. But one good thing, these girls have experience. When you have kids coming back that have played, practices go a little smoother. They know a lot of the drills. They know some of the things we did last year, we're doing this year, and we could add on to that and create other things and move on to a higher level because they've already been through it a year or two. And then that definitely helps through experience and dedication to the program.
You know, coaches always say the most important time for a basketball team outside of the season are the summer months. Talk about your guys' summer, what kind of things you guys did, and as you reflect on it, how you think it went in developing this team.
Well, we do in the summer. We have a league we play in, very competitive league. There's like 18, 20 teams in the league, and then we do skills also in the summer, in June, in part of July, and then again we continue in usually in the beginning of end of September, October with the kids who do not play a fall sport. One downfall, and it's a good problem, that we didn't have our volleyball girls there for a while, so we're probably about 10 days behind schedule. I only have 15 girls, like I said, and then probably 7 or 8 to practice for a couple weeks. But once we got everybody there and all the volleyball girls on a great season they had, then we're starting to gel. We're starting to get a little bit better. Things are starting to move a little smoother, and hopefully we can avoid sickness and injury and go on to our first game, which is the 24th against Crestwood.
You know, we've had Girard as a YSN team for a long time. They're one of our first 8 that we got in the first season of YSN. So we've had a long time to kind of understand the culture of Girard athletics, and whether it be basketball, football, volleyball, everyone kind of fights hard. And there's this like Girard grit that we kind of notice. Talk about the culture of your team, the culture that you try to imprint on your girls, and what you hope to them being on this basketball team means.
You know, I always tell them offense is made in the off season, and our kids are very, very, very dedicated. Girard kids work very hard. They come to practice and they'll give you everything they have, 110%. I try to instill that in them. You know, what you do in practice is what you're going to do in the game. And we always try to make practice a lot harder than the game. Because if the practices are harder than the game, then the games are pretty easy. So that's what we try to instill in them, to practice hard and play hard.
What are some things that you hope that when they do graduate from Girard and they graduate from your program, that they take away from being with you guys for the years they are, and when they look back on their time with you, what are some things that you hope that they remember fondly about being a Girard Indian?
Well, first of all, I like them to have fun, and I think they do, but it's hard work, and hopefully I've instilled in them responsibility, dedication. You know, we have to be at practice at a certain time, wear certain clothes, get on the bus at a certain time. They're real regimented, real disciplined, and that's something they can carry on in life. You know, being disciplined, being on time for things, and being responsible. I hope I have instilled that in my players throughout the 37 years. So that's what I kind of think I look forward to when I see them graduate and come back. They're very successful.
And you say 37 years, that means every year you kind of come back to this thing called coaching. You got to have a passion for it. You got to have a drive for it. What is it about coaching, especially at this level, that keeps you coming back and that you love so much about it?
Well, I love the competition. You know, I love the preparation. I take a lot of pride seeing our girls out there and seeing them be successful. You know, winning a game is a real exciting thing, and I enjoy that. I enjoy the competition, being ready to play each week. And basketball is nice because sometimes you play 3 games a week, and it's kind of fun because you don't have that one game a week schedule like in football, and then in the winter, there's really not much to do besides play basketball. In the spring the weather's always affects softball and baseball, so basketball is a good sport to coach. It keeps me busy, and keeps me healthy and young, I guess.
Coach, one of the things that we're so excited about for this season is getting to see open gyms again and getting to see these communities back and supporting their athletes. We know the Girard community is very supportive. How excited are you to kind of see a full gym back supporting your team come this year?
Oh, definitely. It was tough last year with COVID and having certain people were allowed to attend the games and certain people were not because of COVID. But this year, I'm looking forward to having the gym pretty much filled with people again, and watching football and watching volleyball, seeing the crowds cheering and seeing the student sections cheering again. That's kind of exciting. Basically, sports are for the kids, and not to have the student body there. It was kind of disappointing last year. So I'm looking forward to that, seeing the student body in the stands like always, especially at Girard. They're real supportive.
We know that even though the head coaches get all the interviews and the limelight and the names in the articles, they'd be nothing without the staff that's behind them and the people that kind of help them do what they do. So I want to give you the chance to highlight the people behind you, the people on your staff, and the people that kind of make this Girard girls basketball team what it is.
I'm very fortunate to have a very, 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 very good staff. We're always prepared. Our girls are always prepared to play, no matter who we play. And they do such a great job. They scout, they watch film. They're just an awesome staff. And I have my assistants are my defensive coordinators, Jack Berman, who's been around quite a long time. He's coached at Ursuline, coached at Mooney's, been a head coach. I have Jimmy Keggy, who's another assistant, Andrew Shanker, again, another assistant, and Lindsey Durkin, one of my JV coaches, and they do an outstanding job. I have two really good junior high coaches, Keith Schubert, who was a good basketball player, and Matt Kotuch was also a good basketball player. And I'm looking forward to them to develop the younger program. And of course, those kids will move up to me, and hopefully we can keep things going here at Girard.
When you talk to those coaches that do run the middle school program, and even the ones that run the youth programs before middle school, what kind of things do you want these kids to have ready and be ready for when they get to you as freshmen?
Well, number one thing, I always preach responsibility. I think especially at that level, 12 and 13-year-olds, you have to teach responsibility, being in practice on time, wearing the right jersey at practice, and things like that. And also the drills and the things that we do in a high school level. I want those younger kids to learn the same drills, the same things we do. So when they move up to the varsity level, JV level, they basically have an idea of what we're doing and what we want to accomplish. So that's very important. And it's kind of hard when you're dealing with 12, 13-year-old girls. But when they get up, I want them to have some type of idea of what the program's all about, what we're running and what we're doing offensively and defensively.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, giving us a small preview of Girard girls basketball. And we look forward to covering you all year, and we know that we'll talk to you again real soon.
Okay, man. Anthony, thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
As we just concluded that interview with Coach Saxon of the Girard girls basketball team, we now move into another girls basketball program as we have basically a half hour of Howland Tigers coverage for you now, as we start off with the girls side of basketball things with an interview with Coach Pounds that I conducted earlier this week. Hello and welcome everybody to another Coach's Corner. This one is a Howland girls basketball edition, as I am joined, of course, with Aaron Pounds, head coach of the Howland girls basketball program. Coach, how are we doing today?
Good, sir. How are you?
Oh, not bad at all. As my first question, as we like to do with all of our area coaches, we like to kind of start off with a Meet the Team segment and meets the team that's coming back this year from last year that you think are going to be big impact players, as well as some younger names that you think are going to have an impact on the season.
Coming back, I'd probably start with our our leading scorer from last year, Alyssa Pompeo. When she catches fire, she catches fire. A good player, good leader. Then it'd be the point guard, Kylie McLean. Another senior, her and Liz are both seniors. I've got 6 seniors. Those 2 are going to be really important out there. It's a different team when Kylie's out there. She's really a floor general right now. On one of the wings, we got Taylor Lawrence, a great shooter. I don't want to give away her secret, but I'm gonna. Left-handed, really goes at a hole real hard. So she's special having that lefty out there. Jamie Desalvo, our 6'1" post. It seems like everything she throws up in practice is going in lately, whether it's block or from even the 3-point line, which is I think her first basket she made last year was a 3-pointer. So she's a big important piece. She's tough. Another senior, Jen Senneldecker. She actually got a scholarship to play softball, so congrats to her. Smart player, great attitude, feisty, and she'll help us out. Probably coming off the bench. She's probably my first girl off the bench right now. And then Kat Geiske, just a great kid, great leader, good spirit, always positive. So those are our 6 seniors. We don't have any juniors this year, which is what it is. But we've got a really, really talented sophomore group and a really, really talented freshman group. Sophomores, Alyssa Masucci, she's probably going to be our 5th starter right now. Coach Kloos, my assistant coach, gave her the nickname of a unicorn because she's really special. And as a sophomore, she's only going to get better. So then coming up off the bench is going to be Gia Hozo. She'll be helping back up Kylie, give her some breathing minutes and get some more experience and get out there. And it's going to be her show next year at the point. So another sophomore, Mia Barish, 5'10", 5'11", good kid, great athleticism, goes out there, works. You could tell that she really wants to get better. She's going to help give Jamie some minutes. And she's another one. She'll probably be starting next year after these seniors graduate. Jessie Desalvo, the best coachable, works her butt off every second she's on the floor. I mean, you can tell that she just shows up to work. Practice, she goes hard. Like, she is a coach's dream when it comes to energy and effort. That'll be most of our varsity right there. Got some up and coming JV players, Samantha Cox, Kirsten Sullivan. God, I'm going to forget some names and I hope I don't. Other sophomores. Amia Silvers, she's been playing really well. She's right around that number 10, 11 girl. Other sophomores. Any other guards I can think of? Not at the sophomore level. Freshman. We got a nice freshman class. Sophie Powell, Riley Villock, Emily Adams, all really good guards. We got a girl that transferred in from PA this year, Emma Bolgacki. She's a little Sherman tank. Angela Weems will help us in some post. Oh, we got another sophomore that came in, Brooke Humphreys. She transferred in from Florida. Developmental player, but another kid with a good spirit.
But I mean, obviously, like, looking at this team too, and I mean how deep it is. I mean, Jamie Desalvo is one that Anthony and I talk about on the show, and we said that she's going to be a problem in that AAC. What kind of points of growth have you seen from this team, and especially out of the seniors in that kind of last summer of growth before the final year as a high schooler? What kind of points of growth have you seen from the seniors as well as the underclassmen?
The seniors are really trying to take on a leadership role, more of a lead the way type deal. So they're getting a little bit used to that. Last year was a tough one. I mean, last year coming in, first year head coach, or first year at Howland, I should say, taking over for a legend. Coach Deal was a legend. He was there for 20 years. And his style of coaching and his style of play was ingrained in these seniors. And I'm putting in a whole new style, offense and defense. We get about a month into the season and we get put on a month pause, trying to come back into it. It was a very, very tough, challenging season. We'll just say that, but they're really starting to buy in this year. We had some decent summer participation. We went up to Mount Union. We won that tournament in our bracket, beat some solid teams up there. And you could kind of see them starting to gel a little bit. They realized that it was their time now. And then the sophomores coming up, they've got that 1 year experience underneath their belt. A lot of them played a lot of JV minutes, and now they're being pushed into some varsity minutes. So, they're really accepting their roles to do that too.
So now to continue with that question, with all this coming back too for you, you have a strong senior class. We know this is going to be a tough AAC conference, and with Warren Harding losing their big three, it's going to be competitive and kind of up for grabs. How do you see yourselves faring in that AAC, and what's it going to take for you to get a piece of that crown?
We're going to be right there. I think the girls definitely have a chance to win it this year. So, like you said, Harding's been running the table on us the last couple of years, but Austintown's got a new coach. They're going to be tough. Canfield is always really, really tough. So Boardman, I think it's his team out there is going to be really, really good too. They got some young girls coming up. So it's like you said, it's highly competitive, but I think we'll be right there in the mix.
Obviously, looking at it too, how competitive it's going to be. Your non-conference games allow for a lot of non-conference game opportunities, I should say, because there's only 5 teams in the conference. So looking at your non-conference games, what kind of games are you looking at that you think are really going to prepare you guys come tournament time?
Well, I can say this. I honestly think that I have one of the best athletic directors in the area, and she really, really beefed up the schedule this year. So first game we open at Canton Hoover, and then we have Salem right after that, who played really well last year. They went deep into the tournament. Massillon Perry right after that. So there are very few, if any, what you would call gimmies on the schedule. Let me shut these valves up.
But Coach, obviously looking at that too, very few gimmies on the schedule. You know that this tough schedule is going to prepare you guys come tournament time. When you talk about taking over, though, for a culture that has withstood, you said 20 years previous with a coach, when you're taking over this culture, what are just some of the things you're trying to instill in these girls, or in trying to just, I guess, outside of the X's and O's of the basketball court, what are just some of the big things you want them to take away from your program when it's all said and done?
And at the end of the day, basketball is a game. Games are meant to be fun and played. So they got to go out there and enjoy their time on the court. Basketball is an escape from whatever they are dealing with in school or any of the stresses of school or even the stresses of home. They got to be able to come to basketball and relax and have fun. And at the end of the day, I hope they can show up and have a good time playing basketball for Howland girls.
We know that Howland community is so strong in supporting their athletics, but with the COVID year being so restrictive last year and it being opened up to communities to see their athletes a little bit more and these student athletes a little bit more, I know Howland's going to show up strong, but if there's anybody on the fence about coming out to see this girls team this year, what's the sales pitch to come out and see them?
They're going to be an exciting team. We're fast, furious. We got some nice pressure defenses in there that we've installed this year. So we're going to create a lot of turnovers. It's going to be up and down the court. I want to run teams off the floor.
And with that kind of mentality, we know it's always going to be a fun and exciting time in there in Howland. But with every team, we do the Meet the Team segment, but we also like to shout out the staffs, and the coaching staffs we know are a huge part to every head coach. So I want to give you the chance to shout out your assistants and other big names inside of Howland's girls basketball program.
Well, it all starts at the youth level, and we've got some parents that really stepped up and help out down there. Here's a shout out. Here's a little plug for Howland. Again, my athletic director, stepped up, and myself and Coach Boubon, and they put together a program where the youth come in kindergarten through third grade. We bought some hoop extensions to lower down and bring them in, and then we got fourth, fifth, and sixth coming in for skills and drills. And then I think that's going to be huge. In January, we're actually going to have a kindergarten through third grade league, boys and girls. It's going to be open to the communities to sign up. So 7th and 8th grade coaches, I have Alyssa Santee. She's heading it down there. Mrs. Kovich, she helps her out down there. So I have 2 7th grade coaches, and I have Coach Lode Miller and Coach Jones up at the 8th grade level. I brought on a new assistant this year, Matt Cluse. He's the former head girls coach over at Mineral Ridge, and he's fantastic. That brings some energy that just don't stop. I mean, he's bouncing around the floor from the time he walks in to the time he leaves. And then my JV coach, great kid, young lady, Sarah Price. Everybody knows her in Howland. She's a legend out there, leading scorer, all that stuff. So really proud of my staff.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to give us a little bit of a preview of the Howland girls basketball team, as we know that AAC is going to be competitive, but we know you're going to be a big team name in the thick of it, and we will be looking forward to covering you and the Lady Tigers again real soon.
Appreciate it. Sorry about the barking dogs, y'all.
No problem. Thank you, Coach.
Yep. Thank you.
And that was a very great conversation with Aaron Pounds, the head coach over at Howland for the girls program. And Ty, we're not done with Howland yet. We're going to debut an interview with the boys program, the head of the boys program, and it is going to be Dan Boobin, the head coach over there at the Howland boys. So once again, enjoy this interview with Howland boys head coach Dan Boobin. Anthony Hartwig, Ty Bartell here with another wonderful Coach's Corner and basketball preview. We're joined by Dan Boobin, the head coach of the Howland boys basketball program. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Coach, no doubt we look at this. It's going to be a very tough AAC conference, and we know Howland always seems to be able to be competitive within it. Talk to me a little bit about the boys that you have coming back this season that are going to have impact minutes, as well as some of those younger guys that you think might get some playing time this year.
Well, this will be the deepest team we've ever had. We legitimately have 12 to 13 guys that are varsity caliber players. You can't play 12 to 13 guys a game. But our practices are going to be very highly competitive, and we look to have a pretty good season by all accounts. We're hoping for, anyways. Our biggest returning guys, Anthony Masucci, who last year was off to a great start of his season, averaging 19 points, 8 rebounds a game. Tears his meniscus in game 8 and was done for the year. Or else he would have had a monster year, and that really kind of derailed our team for a while last year. But he'll return this year. He actually, some worst luck in the world, hurt his other meniscus just a month ago, but he's recuperating, should be back here soon. Gabe Badea, our post, is going to be a 3-year starter for us. Both Anthony and Gabe have been 3-year starters, basically. And then we just have a host of 3 other seniors, Grant Brown, Bobby Sullivan, Cam Miles, all played last year. And then a big group of juniors, a very strong junior class that will all be getting minutes at some point. Ben Bronson, David Manios, both played last year, sophomores. We have 3 move-in brothers from East Lake North, the Vaca brothers, Sam, Michael and Alex, and then Connor Durig and Brandon Knoll, a couple of our juniors, and Alex Henry will be a sophomore. They'll get minutes for us. So very deep team, highly competitive. Got a few kids coming off of injuries, but really looking forward to getting it going.
And when you look at this AAC and how deep it is, and we feel like all the teams are going to be very competitive. Talk about this conference and where you think that you guys will be able to contend in it.
The conference the last few years have been Boardman. I mean, Boardman's dominated. I want to say they've won like 28 games in a row in the conference. I think their closest game was actually with us last year, right before Anthony got hurt. They beat us by 4 in our gym in the first conference game of the year. Went right down to the last 2 minutes. But until someone beats Boardman, I mean, they're the team everybody's got to look at, and then everyone else is just consistently tough. Austintown's always going to be tough. Harding's always going to bring kids at you that can play. And Canfield is just a consistently disciplined, well-coached team that plays good basketball. You have no easy games. In our down years, we have a hard time competing in the conference. In our good years, we're right there in the mix. And this, I think, should be one of our good years. So hopefully we're right in the mix this year.
There's no doubt. I mean, with the conference of only 5 teams, you don't allow a lot of conference games to take over your schedule. So there's a lot of non-conference opportunities. So talk to me a little bit about those non-conference games and how Howland thinks they're going to fare in those games and how they're going to get them ready for the tournament.
So we're in a unique position. We can schedule just about anyone. The bigger schools in the area are in our conference, so we have to play them. And then the better, smaller schools, which I was the coach of at one point. I was a champion. I was at Liberty. And when you think you have a good team, you want to play up. You want to play at a Division I school or a big Division II school. And those schools all want to play Howland. None of them are scared to play Howland. They might not want to play Harding. They might not want to play Fitch or Boardman, but they think they got a shot with Howland. So usually we can load up with good Division III teams that want to compete against the upper level Big 2 or Small 1, and that's us. We always have a competitive schedule with schools that might be smaller than us but have very good teams. And then we play all the teams kind of at our same level, which are a lot of the NE8 teams. We play a lot of that league. We always go and play in the Sharon Holiday tournament. We played Ursuline and Mooney consistently the last few years. We play East and Cheney. We play, if you're in the area, we pretty much play it. I think Louisville is our really only trip outside of the area that comes to mind right now, just because we have so many opportunities to play inside the area. And there's enough good basketball in the area that I'd rather play area teams. So we see a little bit of everything, but there won't be a lot of easy nights for us.
I mean, you said it, tons of good basketball in the area. And we know that wasn't always the case. You look about 10 years ago and maybe not as good wide basketball in the area. Talk about what it's like to see the growth of basketball in this valley and what you think it does for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little better. This is hard to believe, my 27th year coaching. And you've kind of seen peaks and valleys with basketball in that time. I do think we have a lot of competitive teams this year. I don't know that we'll ever get to the point we were in the mid 80s to early 90s. I think we were on par with teams all across the state. I mean, that's when you had teams around there going to the Final Four, playing in state championships. I think our population was a little bigger overall back then. The amount of kids overall was a little bigger, but I think the level has definitely gone up, like you said, in the past 10 years. I've seen some of your interviews with other coaches. I think all coaches say the same thing. It's different now with kids. Some want to specialize in one sport. Some give up on a sport a little bit quicker. And in some schools, you have kids that pretty much play every sport or no sport. So it's different. There's no question about it. But I do agree that the level of competition, there's just the overall teams. There's not a lot of down teams in our area. And I do think we have a lot of very good coaches in our area that don't get a lot of credit. For the teams they have, they put it as competitive a team as you can on the floor every night. So it's never easy.
Coach, I mean, to have as many people that are varsity ready, that just shows that there's a lot of involvement in the Howland basketball program. Talk to me a little bit about what it means, culture standpoint, what it means to be a Tiger, and why it's so intriguing to so many kids to come out and want to be a part of the program.
Well, I do love the numbers we get in our youth program. Was astounding the other day because we didn't have anything dealing with the youth last year. As COVID our season was a mess last year. We couldn't do anything with the youth program. So we had the gym open Sunday, boys and girls, elementary. We had like 200 kids in the gym. It was crazy. I mean, it was almost too many. So we have been getting numbers. In the lower levels, we get numbers. 7th and 8th grade, we get good numbers. Excuse me. And high school, we have good numbers. What it means to be a Tiger, I don't know. We try to demand the toughness out of our kids. It might not necessarily have to be big and ripped and the most physically imposing person in the world, but we want our kids to play tough, be a defensive-minded team, and go from there. And like I said, the years we've done that, we've competed with everybody. In the years we haven't been able to do that, if you can't be physically tough and compete against the schedule we play, you're going to be in for a long season. And we've had a couple of those, but like I said, this year, I think will be one of our better ones.
Coach, in just our first season with Howland being a YSN team, we've learned very quickly how strong and how proud the community of Howland is around their sports and around their athletic programs. Talk about what it's going to be like to kind of get them back in the gym and be able to play in front of crowds and feed off the energy of a full gym.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Last year, I always say I should write a book about last year. I think we played 23 games in 49 days because we were not allowed to start until after January in Trumbull County. And then when we did play, it just wasn't only no fans. It was we couldn't use our locker room. We had to do like pregame in the hallway, halftime in the hallway. We didn't have a bench. The kids were all spread out behind me, up like 10 rows as far as they can get. None of it felt real last year. It was very, very weird. So getting anything close to back to normal, I just feel good for the kids. They get to experience that. Last year's senior class, I felt really bad for them. They didn't get to have that experience, but we did everything we could to get all those games in. We actually ended our season last year playing 4 games in 4 nights. So it felt like being in the Big East tournament or something like that. I've never heard of a high school team playing 4 games in 4 nights, but we were bound and determined we were going to get all 22 regular season games in before the tournament, and we did. But like none of it felt real. Sometimes it almost felt like you're playing a summer camp game, just because nobody was in the stands, or we're just parents wearing masks, and it was odd. So looking forward to it. I mean, right out of the chute, we play Poland, which is always one of the better teams in the area. So that'll be a great challenge for us. But I hope the gym is packed and we're kind of back to normal.
Looking at the last year too, we know a lot of coaches relied heavily on their staff because they kind of needed to with how the restrictions played out. So talking about that, I want to give you the opportunity to not only shout out your assistants, but other big names inside the Howland boys basketball program.
Well, I think every coach comes on here says they have the best staff around, but I'll put mine up against anybody. Bill Kovacs, my varsity assistant. Older people listening will know his dad is the former Harding coach in the 80s, Bill Kovacs Sr. Bill Jr., who's my assistant, was the head coach at Brookfield for a good number of years, and then he's been my assistant since I've been at Howland. Danny Stella, my JV coach. I coached Danny 20 years ago when I was coaching at Harding. And he's been with me at Liberty and at Howland. I think if I go take a job anywhere, Danny's going to come with me. And the fortunate thing I had, we have Joe Desalvo, who was one of the great players in the area in the 80s, ended up playing at Eastern Michigan and at YSU as my volunteer assistant. Don't even got to pay him a dime when he comes in and is on our staff. So those 3 guys are with me every day. That's just indispensable. You can't beat that. Then our lower levels, Jeff Del Torio teaches at the high school, coaches our freshmen. Mike O'Neill teaches at the high schools and coach our 8th grade team. and Rex Rager teaches our middle school and coaches our 7th grade. And then Coach Stella actually took over for me this year running our elementary program, which is saving me a lot of time and energy in this season. That is just all week long what you have with teaching and then coaching your team, and then going with the younger kids on the weekend was a little tough. So I got Danny taking that over for me, which is going to be a big help. And then let me also give a shout out to our athletic director, Andrea Farinack, who is always supportive of our program, and anything we need is always there for us. So we have a lot of great support, a lot of great people working in the basketball program. No coach does it by themselves, which is impossible, but you need to have good people, and we do.
Coach, before we let you go, I want to ask, what are some things that you want to instill into your kids and teach them outside the basketball court that you hope that when they graduate from Howland and they go away from your program, that they say, I took this away from being under Coach Boobin, or I took this away from being a part of the Howland boys basketball program?
That's a deep question. That's good. I hope I impart something on them. And the biggest thing we always try to tell them is no excuses about anything. There's always building excuses if you want them. I always get on them about complaining about officiating. I'm friends with so many officials around here. They love me because I don't really say anything to them during games. Like you got to play. You can't be the team that after every game says, well, we didn't get this call, or we didn't get that call, or if this would have happened. Like, I always tell, does that only mean that we can win if everything goes good for us? That's the only time we can be successful. So I don't know. The no excuse thing is big for me. And then I just hope they enjoy the experience. I always just tell them this is a small part of your life. You're in high school for 4 years. It flies by. You're playing basketball with your buddies. More than anything, I just hope the experience was good, that it was worthwhile, you putting time into it, and that you enjoyed it. That's always the biggest thing to me. I mean, you watch some NBA guys talk about their experiences. I think Isaiah Thomas always said his biggest win was high school championship, and he won in high school, college, and the pros, but high school is the biggest one he remembers. So enjoy the experience and don't complain, and that's two big things for me.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us and give us a little bit of a preview of the Howland boys basketball program, as we know the AAC is going to be very competitive, and I look forward to being a part of the ride with it, and I'll be talking to you again real soon.
All right, look forward to seeing you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
That was a lot. We just heard from Andrew Saxon, the head coach of the Girard girls basketball team. We heard from Aaron Pounds, the head coach of the Howland girls team, and we heard from just now Dan Boobin, the head coach of the Howland boys basketball team. All pre-recorded, but all debuting live on ysnlive.com. So that was the first time anyone's ever seen those interviews. That will go on the website now this weekend, and you'll be able to see them if you did happen to miss this show. A lot to take in, Ty, a lot of meat to chew on. So we're going to take a break and let you guys chew on all that information that we just kind of threw at you. And we'll be back with playoff football picks next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
for all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air,
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
online,
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
on social media, and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Jimmy Sutton here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
Welcome back to Running Point live on ysnlive.com. Anthony Hartwig alongside Mr. Ty Bartell live in the studio here in East Palestine. And Ty, we just got through a lot of basketball info coming at you real hot. We had 3 debut interviews in a row. And now it's time to kind of switch gears a little bit. And as we close the show, we have these playoff games to pick. We have to pick them. You can pick them with us on the Twitter. Why I sound like an old person?
The Twitter.
Yeah, man, on the Twitter, on our Twitter, Running Point YSN. You can look at them and pick along with us. Right now, the fan voting is live, and we will go over what the fans are voting as we vote as well. Ty, the first one is tonight, of course, at South Range High School. It is West Branch and Ursuline squaring off in the regional semifinals. The fan vote has West Branch with a slight edge, 52% to 48%. It's tight. It's hard to pick. It's one of those 50-50 pick-em games. If there were spreads in high school, it would probably just be a straight-up no points rewarded. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, and of course, we have the regional final for regions 13, 17, 21, and 25 covered on this weekend too. That's for divisions 4 through 7 for everyone. And then we start off with a division 4 matchup here tonight, Friday night. Our only game on the network, $9.99 gets you tonight's game and 3 tomorrow. But what a way to kick off football for the weekend. And 1-seeded West Branch now. Can they defend it against Ursuline? Has had these playmakers all season long. And I mean, this is basically what this game is, and what we said earlier in the season. And earlier this week, it's going to be a game of playmakers. And you talk Kylan Irving, Dean Boyd, Brady Shannon, DeMarcus McElroy, talk Stephen Murray, talk Drew. It's like there's big names everywhere, and this is 1 versus 3. Ursuline, very tough schedule, very impressive in the wins they have, including wins over the Falcons, wins over Warren G. Harding, and big wins, playing big name schools, with their losses coming against good teams like Chardon, good teams such as Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's, Bill Angela St. Joe's. But for me, in this one in particular too, I do like Ursuline having a guy like DeMarcus McElroy that can put it in the box score with the yards on the ground, and then 2 receivers that Shannon could throw to. I mean, there's so much talent loaded on offense, but nobody's ready for West Branch. Give me the Warriors. Nobody is ready for West Branch. I've been calling it all season, and everyone that keeps doubting this team out there in Beloit is about to really have to come to terms and realize that this is a Warriors team that, yes, Ursuline beat them last year. Yes, Ursuline can this year.
I'm giving you the ambiance as you're
but
talking about.
This is West Branch's year, and I felt that for the last few weeks. Nobody's ready for West Branch, and I think they've proven it week in and week out.
If anyone's ready for West Branch, it's Ursuline.
Yeah, for sure.
Both these defenses have had times when they've given up stuff. They've both come through in big situations. We saw Ursuline do that last week with the goal line stand to give their offense a chance. And, of course, Kaylin Irving was just special with that run after the catch for a touchdown to give Ursuline the win. West Branch, their defense looked suspect in the first half, but then held who'd they play? All these weeks are winding down on me.
Which one? West Branch?
Yeah, last week.
West Branch played Perry.
All right, so they held Perry to, I believe, 6 poins in the second half, while their offense
26-19 was the final.
While their offense scored 20, so their defense stepped up after struggling in the first half. Such an even game. They both have so many playmakers. They both make big plays in big situations. I think the difference in this game is going to come down to turnovers. Ursuline turns the ball over more than West Branch does. I'm picking the Warriors too.
I think the biggest thing to look at too, and I mean, Ursuline, they've surprised us before. And I mean, it's not going to be surprising if Ursuline beats this West Branch team. And if they're, like you said, if there's anyone ready for them, it's Ursuline. But
here's the thing that scares me, and it's that Ursuline's schedule is much better than West Branch's.
It was, but I mean, the thing with the last 3 weeks too, 8 points allowed to Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy, 21 to Poland, 19 to Perry. These were some really good teams that right around that 20 or under mark that this West Branch defense, not the offense, the defense held through.
The offense struggled last week for the first time we've ever seen them struggle.
But we've seen that the defense can pick it up, and that was a chink in the armor that we've been hearing all season. Once they play a good defensive team to slow down that Warriors offense, it's all over. Well, they just played 2 pretty good defensive teams in back-to-back weeks and came out on top. So I think West Branch has proven they could do it with offense, and they certainly can do it with defense now too.
Listen to me, I'm trying to talk myself out of it.
Yeah, no. But we go into, I don't think there's going to be any talking you into this one or out of this one as we venture into Division 5 and into Region 17. It's the Empire. They're coming into town though. The Empire is as South Range takes on Kirtland in a matchup. You want to say it's a year in the making, but it feels like 2 years in the making. It feels like a 3-year storyline that we've been building to this moment, and it's the last opportunity, much like in Springfield's case for a lot of these seniors.
And you look at Kirtland, obviously, you can't not respect them. I mean,
it's impossible not to.
They're going for their 54th consecutive win in their 4th straight state championship title. But then you look over at what South Range has gone through, and both these teams kind of struggled last week. I mean, 25-7 does not dictate how much Kirtland had to really fight to get past Garfield. And South Range had to fight and claw their way through a 15-12 matchup with Garroway. So I don't think either team is in a sleepwalk into this game. I think I would feel much more confident about South Range's chances if Kirtland blew out Garfield. Because then I'm like, okay, they're just going to, stroll into this one. But I think they were fought. They were battle-tested last week. So was South Range. So neither team is going to kind of lazily walk into this game. We're going to get both teams' best. Last year, it came down to Kirtland's ability to make the big plays while South Range was trying to key in to stop the run. I hope and I think South Range can make the adjustments this year and try to do what Garroway did to them last week and keep the big plays out of Kirtland's offense and make them methodically go down the field. Kirtland's going to try to do the same thing to South Range. This is going to be a good game, man. South Range is going to win it, though. They're going to end the streak. Every streak was meant to be broken. South Range gets to win, and they go to state. Let's go.
I think
Don't you dare.
Yeah, I told you. There's always tricks up the sleeve here.
By the way, the fan vote has South Range with the narrow edge, 55% to 45%.
Close too, just like West Branch versus Ursuline, and with good reason. I think what's really going to help South Range in this one is having that game. I think their game last week helps them even more than what Garfield did to test Kirtland, because Kirtland was tested defensively and Kirtland was held to less scoring than what they're used to, obviously. But it was a team that, I don't want to say that Garfield was a team that they faced this season before, but it was in some aspects, defensively at least, in what they saw. I mean, the triple option on the run is something that is pretty unique to how Garfield runs it. But I think the defensive slugfest that South Range got in, much like we talked about with West Branch in Division 4, and how South Range has been so accustomed to blowing teams out this entire season, putting up 40-point games, winning by 20 plus. I think getting that low-scoring game, that game that was under 20, that was saying you got to win this game with defense. Your offense and getting these big plays like you've been so used to doing all season isn't going to cut it. And I think it got them in the right mentality to where they're not going to have that jet lag against Kirtland like we saw, I think, in that first half last year. I think this game against Garroway actually is preparing them going into this one. I don't know, man. Like, I wanted to go into this one, and I still I want to hang on to Kirtland just because of the win streak and just because it's so impressive. And you have, until someone beats them, you have to respect them. But the South Range team all year long has been one that it feels. And I mean, that's kind of how I feel with all the picks I'm going to make in every division. It feels like a team of almost destiny that's destined to be there. And you start that off with week 1 versus Springfield and how they beat them in the way that they beat them and how they dominated the NE8, how they beat Hubbard when that was a big matchup and beat them convincingly. I think it's just been a team of destiny that every challenge that's been faced with South Range has said, okay, and they've taken it. Sometimes on the chin, like with Garroway, but they've taken it and they've come out on top every time. So is Kirtland, though. Something's got to give. Give me the Disney finish and give me the Raiders.
You used the Star Wars metaphor with the Empire, but earlier this week on our social media page, we used the Kirtland as Thor. I mean, as Thanos metaphor, and he's inevitable, right? And he's going to go to snap his fingers. And here comes South Range / Tony Stark saying, I am Iron Man. Snap it. They're going to do that to Thanos and the Kirtland Hornets. So
definitely going to come down to that defense, though.
If they do Monday, I'm rocking South Range.
It's Raiders defense. That's the X factor.
You're doing it.
If you want my that's my personal key to victory is South Range's defense, not even their offense. I'm taking offense completely out of this. Whoever comes out better defensively wins this game.
We go down to Division 6. Springfield, a very familiar playoff foe. They've played them before in the playoffs. They're playing them again. Mogador, who got the overtime win over La Brea last week, comes into this game, and Springfield is leading the fan vote 77% to 23% on Running Point YSN, at Running Point YSN on Twitter. Fans are pretty confident in Springfield. That's based on, of course, what we've seen from Springfield the last 2 years. And what we saw last year. And I said it earlier this week, I think even though it sounds crazy because Mogador beat LeBray, I think LeBray was a harder matchup for Springfield because of the way they play offense and the way they can really spread a defense out. I think this is a better matchup for Springfield. And I think Springfield wins this game I don't want to say easily because no regional final is going to be easy, but this might be the most lopsided regional final that we see this weekend, in my opinion.
Back in week 3, Geneva, I said I'm going Tigers all the way. 13 straight, I think, up until this point that they haven't proved me wrong. You got, 3 more that you need to prove me right on, and it starts tonight.
We'll see if her confidence stands true if they get to the state championship game against Coldwater again.
I'll keep it standing true. I told you.
Leave that banner, but you'll pick Harding when they're playing YSN teams.
I picked more than just Harding too. At least Harding is in the AAC still, so I give love to the conference. But no, I'm picking Springfield in this one, no doubt.
We're both on Springfield. We're both on the same pick so far. It's been a sweep on Running Point each time. I said Springfield might be the most lopsided regional final on the weekend. This fan vote is the most lopsided on Twitter. JFK winning 85% to 15% over Dalton. Ty, this is a Dalton team that upset Lucas to get here, so they've obviously beaten quality teams. But this might be a different monster in JFK.
Yeah, and I mean, I already used the my tagline for West Branch, so I'm not going to use the same thing for JFK, but it does feel much of the same. But this is JFK. Warren JFK is a king of Division 7, and with good reason. And you look at just some of the teams that Dalton's faced, and Dalton has a great record themselves, losing to Garraway and losing to Ridgewood this year as their 2 losses. But I mean, just looking at the rest of the record, I mean, as impressive as it is and what they've been able to do, I just feel like this JFK team belongs on a different planet in Division 7 and what they've been able to do against some successful teams. Talking about a 35-0 shutout on the Southeast team that was undefeated at the time. You're talking about a 35-7 win over St. Paul, the number 2 seeded St. Paul at that going into it, and in a game that the score indicates just how lopsided it was. It was JFK all the way. And you look at the losses that JFK suffered this year against Garfield, who just lost their first game against the team with the most wins in a row consecutively right now, currently in the U.S., and a Mogador, a 10-3 opponent that was a powerhouse, a 16-14 loss this year. It's easy for me, and it might be just because I saw this team last week, but Antoine Brown, Caleb Hadley, I mean, Michael Morrow, there's so much speed there. I got to go with the Eagles in this one.
What can Brown do for you? Well, I'll tell you what he can do. He can have a huge game and get KFK to the state semifinals. That's what's going to happen. This is a different level of ball, and Dalton's not ready for it, and JFK rolls again, I think. They're in this region, Division 7, JFK is a animal that's in their own league in the region. Might be different when we get to the state semifinals, and you start to hit the real big boys of Division 7. But in this region, it's all JFK, and it's their world, and we're just living in it.
Got Hopewell Loudon and Lima Central Catholic playing in another division or in another regional final too. I'm just trying to look at that. Newark Catholic is playing Shady Side in the region 27.
They're so shady over there, though.
Yeah. And then Marion Local is playing St. Henry.
Myself with that pun.
Marion Local is playing St. Henry over in Region 28. So we're down to the Elite 8 in every division essentially right now too, as we will get down to our state Final Fours after this week. Going to be exciting. And hopefully we're talking 4 for 4 for our YSN
by the way,
teams.
the winner of that JFK Dalton game will play the winner of Shady Side in Norwalk.
I was going to say, I thought so was the winner of that Shady Side game.
The winner of Springfield Mogador will play Fort Fry if they win. If Jefferson wins, Springfield will play the winner of Cary versus Liberty Center. So I don't know what exactly goes in all of that, but basically that's kind of confusing. If Springfield wins, they'll either play Fort Fry or the winner of Cary versus Liberty Center. If South Range and Kirtland, the winner of that will play Elyria Catholic versus Ottawa Glandorf winner. So those two winners are squared up and they'll play each other. And with Division 4, the winner of the West Branch Ursuline game will play Van Wert if they win. If Port Clinton beats Van Wert, then they will play Port Clinton. So I guess if Van Wert wins, they'll play the winner of Bloom Carroll versus St. Clairsville. And then if Port Clinton beats Van Wert, they'll play Port Clinton.
So it should be a fun one.
I want to remind everybody that the games on the playoff side of football things are $9.99 pay-per-view. It'll get you the access to the game that night. So for tonight, unfortunately, you get the Ursuline game. That's what you're paying for. Tomorrow, $9.99 will get you all 3 games on the network for football. Basketball is going to be free, so it is not pay-per-view. And with some of these teams, not tonight, but tomorrow that are playing at the same time, or you might see 2 video boxes. The one obviously without the pay-per-view thing is your basketball one, and the one with the pay-per-view green stamp at the top that says "Get your virtual tickets now." $9.99 is what you click on. I can't stress this enough. If someone's trying to get you to pay something that's not $9.99, it is not us. Don't do it. We've had a couple of people accidentally subscribe to like Fubu TV and stuff like that. So just make sure you know what you're charging your credit card for, and make sure it does say $9.99, because otherwise it is not us, and you are not paying for your pay-per-view prescription of this prescription. That's a medical thing. Subscription. You're not paying for the pay-per-view subscription of this game. So it's all the little tidbits, that you'll get from the pay-per-view. And as far as tonight goes, we have football, Ursuline and West Branch from South Range High School. Is it Ian and Trey on the call there?
It is Ian and Michael, I believe.
Okay,
so a little bit of a double dipping in there.
Yeah, Michael, the voice of West Branch, doing with the voice of Ursuline, so you'll have dual partnership there. Also have basketball on the network tonight as well. Ty will be at Wyndham for Cardinal Wyndham. DJ's going to be at Latonia for the
Heartland
Bears
Christian.
hosting Heartland Christian. Dom O'Brien's going to be at JFK. They host, help me out,
Cheney.
And I'm going to Campbell, and they'll host Sebring. That'll all be on the network for free tonight.
You could also hear Mikey McNuggies, too, as Crestview visits Beaver Local tonight. Noah Rick's going to be on for North Canton Hoover, at Howland, as well as tomorrow, our playoff games. Remember, $9.99 gets you tonight's game and 3 more tomorrow.
No. $9.99 gets you tonight's game, and then you have to pay $9.99 again for tomorrow. Like it's a daily thing.
Oh, is it? I thought we were doing the power play again, is what we said.
Well, we do, but we do it each night.
Yeah,
So-
okay. I got you.
Right.
Excuse me. So you get DJ and Sig at South Range Kirtland, Jamie Romo, Springfield Mogador, and Dom and Jake at JFK versus Dalton.
And then for basketball, you got it spread out for a couple of day games and a couple of night games as well.
Yep, no doubt. West Branch and Garfield is Boxcast. Eric Hopp is going to have Cardinal Mooney at Columbiana, and then you will be at Perry versus Campfield.
That'll do it for the games in the network, and that'll do it for today's episode of Running Point. We want to thank all the coaches that took the time to either be on the show today or do the off-air interviews that we were able to debut today. So we want to send a thank you to Keith Gunther, the head coach of the Ursuline boys basketball team. We want to send a shout-out to Andrew Saxon, the head coach of the girls basketball team at Girard, for giving us his time. I want to give a shout-out to both Howland coaches as well, Aaron Pounds and Dan Boobin, for giving us their time and being able to interview them and preview those seasons as well. So we'll be back on Monday. We're taking a 70-hour break. Until then, Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3, Power Hour from 3 to 4, and then a bunch of stuff on the network tonight. It's going to be a fun one. Have a great weekend, everybody.